This is Ryan.
And I'm John.
Welcome to preview season.
Oath of the Gatewatch. Hey-o.
Hey, welcome to another great episode of our preview show for Oath of the Gatewatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some great ones for you here today. We're looking at red cards.
We are.
And they're pretty hot. Oh, man.
That's fire.
You know, we have like a budget for that. We can get actual sound effects.
Nah.
Okay. Let's take a look at...
Why get sound effects when we have that? When we have... We can just get that for free.
We can. And you get what you pay for. So let's go with Devour in Flames.
Yeah.
What would that sound like?
No, that's a machine gun.
Well,
that's
okay. There's also kind of chomp there. I liked it. It sounded devoured.
Well, it's like I don't know how to get the flames sucking you into it, but that's what I was going for.
I get it. All right.
We'll workshop that.
Okay. Before everyone quits out of YouTube here and opens a new tab for something else, let's talk about the card.
Yeah.
All right. So Devour in Flames, for 3 mana, you get to deal 5 damage, which would be great.
Yep.
Except you have to aim it at a creature or planeswalker, and it's a sorcery speed. Well, on the upside, you get to return a land to your hand, and that's right, I said upside. Usually that type of thing would be a downside, but in a block with landfall and several lands that provide a benefit when they enter the battlefield, you can really make that into pure value pretty easily, right?
That is huge.
Yeah, you really don't want to cast this on turn 3 anyway, so save it for later in the game when you've got enough lands and you want to either scoop one up and loot it away with another card, like maybe... I don't know, Jace, Vryn's Prodigy or something. Or if you want to reuse your landfall, right? So if you are absolutely desperate, you can play this one on turn 3, scoop up one of the lands that you tapped, and then play it again as your drop for the turn, if you haven't drawn a 4th land. And then you can still fit a 1-drop in there. So it's got some flexibility that I like. So the only downside really is sorcery speed. Not really where you want your burn to be, but since it can only hit creatures and planeswalkers anyway, it's not like you're going to sneak one in at their face at the end of the turn. I guess you're kind of picking off a legit target. So.
It's definitely the kind of card you play if you're kind of playing from behind and you just need to buy time. Mm-hmm. You don't have the land drop anyway, so the drawback isn't really as big a drawback as it usually would be. So if you're just trying to buy time to get out of like some sort of mana screw situation, I think this card's great.
Uh-huh. All right, next one. This is, I think, he's got a lot of character, we'll say. He's got some heart.
Sure.
Kazul's Toll Collector.
Gotta pay the troll toll.
All right. So
he is a troll, right?
He is. It's kind of. All right. So he's a 3/2 for 3, right? His creature type isn't even, like, super useful. I don't think there's a lot of ogre. He's an ogre. That's what it is. He's an ogre warrior.
Yeah,
wow.
They should have just made him a troll.
I guess. All right. So
flavor fail. His
ability to equip anything for free means he deserves to be suited up with some kind of killer equipment. So I'm kind of hoping Stoneforge Mystic, gets unbanned, because then she can dig up the Argentum armor, put it into play for 2, and this guy gets to wear it for free, and that means that you can attack with a 9/8 on turn 4 that effectively has Annihilator 1.
That seems pretty good.
All right, maybe not good enough for Modern, but if you have a casual play group and you want to get kicked out of it, just suit up the Troll Toe. Oh, man.
You wanted to say Toll Collector, but you said Troll. Wow.
Troll.
Toll Collector. Toll Collector.
Yes.
I promise. It's Toll Collector, not Troll
Put some big pants on this guy and go wreck some face. That's all I'm
yeah.
There you go.
All right, next card is what?
Next card, I got Tears of Valakut.
Are we sure it's Tears and not Tears?
It could be Fears. I don't know. Or Tears. Oh, you got me second guessing myself. All right,
it's Tears. It's Tears. It's definitely Tears of Valakut. The mountains tearing up?
It could. Yeah, it's sad. Roast would be a comparable card in Standard, right?
But this is like if Roast and... oh, no. What's the one from M11 where it can't be countered, deals 5 to a white or blue creature? Combust?
Sure.
Combust. It's like if those 2 cards had a baby.
Yeah. This one's also an instant where I think Roast is just a sorcery. So attack, Quicken on there, I guess. So, yeah, like you said, Tears bypasses blue completely, which is great because they also happen to have the most targets that you probably want to hit with this thing. By my count, there's 155 cards in Standard right now with flying and toughness of 5 or less. And that's before we add in anything from Oath of the Gatewatch. Right? Your best targets are probably things like Archangel of Tides, Dragon Lord, Silumgar, and Ujutai once he taps for his attack.
Yeah.
And they're planning to use counter magic to protect him because now they can't even use that to stop this. So
should have a huge effect on Standard. They can't get in with Ujutai willy-nilly anymore and expect to hit through counter spells.
Yeah.
isn't going to work anymore. That's
The
awesome.
dragons have had their day, and now the Eldrazi are here to stay.
Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh.
got my tongue back.
I like it.
Fall of the Titans.
Boom.
You know, we hit this one during our preview show, but I wanted to bring it up again because I am super excited to see it in Two-Headed Giant. Right?
Seems awesome.
Even outside of that, doing X damage to up to 2 targets feels really powerful, and if you can afford it, you know, after you played another spell for Surge, you're in great shape. It could be good in Commander too. If you can generate lots of mana out of nowhere, you might be able to kill off 2 other players at the same time with one really well-timed spell. So look out for that.
I am checking to make sure you can point it at multiple players right now, and wow, you can.
Yeah.
Wow.
Up to 2 target creatures and/or players, right?
That rules.
So yeah, just bzz, bzz, and game. Right?
Oh. All right, so on to the limited portion. I'm just going to go over the commons because you see a lot of commons during the course of a draft. You don't see many uncommons, you don't see many rares, so it's more important to have a grasp on which commons are good before you can evaluate everything else. So that is our starting point, and we're going to start at the 5th best red common in Sparkmage's Gambit. I see this playing a similar role to Boiling Earth in Battle for Zendikar draft, but I actually never really liked Boiling Earth much, and I really like this card because it's got the added upside of neutralizing blockers. Mm-hmm. A lot of times, a lot of the colors in this format have access to ways to gum up the ground, whether it's white with its walls or red with its Kozilek Sentinels. Making it so creatures can't block is traditionally undervalued upside, but I think it's really huge on this card. Yeah. All right, next up, we've got a Goblin Freerunner. So during the previews, we had this card and identified it as a role player. I didn't anticipate this being a top 5 red common, but the truth is there's just not a whole lot to pick from. I mean, it's pretty good for 2 mana. It's pretty good for its surge cost. At 4, it's kind of below replacement level. Mm-hmm. You could get, if your deck has enough removal, then the Menace might just keep you in a race, mm-hmm. but that is contingent on a lot of things going right for you. All right, Boulder Salvo. It's aggressively mediocre at 5 mana, but outstanding at 2. Mm-hmm. You can play it on 5 and it's fine. It fulfills it kind of plays the same role as the black common out of Battle for Zendikar. Target creature gets -5/-5. This obviously it does 4 damage, but you're really just hoping to pair this with some cheaper cards. Yeah. Number 2, we've got Zada's Commando. A 2/1 for 2, first strike, is just great by itself. Yep. It maximizes your own combat tricks you might have and maximizes your direct damage. Yep. But its cohort ability is kind of gravy on top. It gives you more reach than you'd usually have, and it's bound to be relevant because the thing about allies is they come out really fast, but they're super small, mm-hmm. and inevitably some of them are just going to end up just being irrelevant on the board. Yep. So cohort, I like it as a mechanic because it's kind of a clever way to turn a gummed up board into a slow, smoldering kind of advantage that you can capitalize on over lots of turns.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that, and I think my initial problem was that I compared it a lot to Outlast, but that had to be done as a sorcery, so you were giving up like your whole turn to pump up your guy. Cohort, you can do it at any time, so you can wait, still provide kind of, or threaten to block or whatever, wait till their combat's over, and then you can still squeeze in the damage or whatever you want to do with your cohort. So that's kind of actually way better because the timing restrictions are so much more loose, and you can really maximize the effectiveness both in combat and out. So that's great. Yeah,
the real cost to cohort, I think, is kind of that you have to really commit to the board, but that's more of a cost in constructed than limited. I think in limited, committing to the board is just fine. Yep. Best red common I have is Reality Hemorrhage. This is I have it ahead of Boulder Salvo, even though they're both kind of removal. Mm-hmm. The real utility in Reality Hemorrhage is that it's a good card on its own, and it also helps you trigger Surge at a really cheap cost. Like, having a reasonable spell on its own, as well as just being able to play it whenever you want, being able to trigger Surge whenever you want, and not having it cost... how to put it? Like... you don't have to waste a spell to play it. You don't have to play a subpar spell just because it's cheap and it triggers Surge. You get to play a good card and have your Surge too. You get to have your cake and eat it too. I think this card was fixed. This has all the symptoms of something that used to be a little better, and then they play tested with it, and now it costs 2 instead of 1, and it doesn't exile like all the other Devoid cards. So yeah, I think Reality Hemorrhage is probably the best red common and definitely worth looking at if you're trying to get your Surge on.
I think so.
So traditionally, red and black's thing in limited is that since they get so much removal, their drawback is that the creatures they have access to are largely underwhelming. With black, that's not really the case. We looked at black last episode, and the creatures there were awesome. But the red creatures are terrible at common in this set. Man, yeah. The creatures are just mediocre at every turn. And unlike in Battle for Zendikar, the colored red creatures are much better than their Devoid counterparts, which in Battle for Zendikar, the opposite was true. So you're probably not going to want to hop into a red Devoid deck unless it's just as a support color. And red, it has to be really, really open for that Devoid deck to work. The red allied deck gets a little better. The red Devoid deck gets a little worse. And I think that's how draft is going to kind of play out in this set.
Sure. So, coming into this set, the running joke has kind of been that green has been like the worst color flat out for draft. Do you expect maybe that's about to switch? Is red kind of falling down? Maybe green's going to step up?
Green's got a lot of ground to make up. I don't think... Well, how about I answer that question in the green episode?
That sounds great. I'm looking forward to it. And if you guys are looking forward to Oath of the Gatewatch, make sure you get your pre-orders in at tcgplayer.com right now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.